Hey there. We're about to get into something that I know is really, really tough. It's a deeply personal topic, and if you're watching this, you're probably living through one of the most painful things a parent can ever face. But I want you to know, we're going to walk through this together. The goal here is to move from that awful feeling of confusion and start finding some real clarity. So let's just jump right into the one question that's probably been haunting you, maybe keeping you up at night. How on earth can a child you love, a child you've raised and poured your heart into, suddenly act like they hate you? It just doesn't make any sense, and the heartbreak it's just immense. And when that happens, a whole storm of feelings comes with it, right? It's so confusing, it feels incredibly isolating, and man, does it feel unfair. And almost always, right at the center of that storm, is this one torturous question you keep asking yourself over and over. What did I do wrong? Was it me? We're going to come back to that, but for now, I want you to just try to set that question aside, because the real answer is not where you think it is. Okay, so to get to the real answers, we have to look somewhere else entirely. We're going to shift away from blaming yourself and look at the biology. We need to get a handle on what is physically happening inside your child's body and brain, because this whole thing, it's not really about what you did. It's about how they're reacting. And this is absolutely critical to understand. What you are seeing, this rejection, it is not a choice. It's not your child deciding they prefer one parent over the other. It is a biological survival mechanism kicking in. Their brain and their body are just trying to cope with an impossible situation, with an unbearable amount of psychological pressure. There's a scientific name for this. It's called toxic stress. So what does that actually mean? Well, think of it like this. Your child's internal alarm system, their stress response, is stuck in the on position 24/7, and there's no safe, supportive adult there to help them turn it off. This isn't just a feeling. This is a physical state that literally, physically, changes the way their brain is built. And take a look at this chart. This shows us what happens with cortisol, the main stress hormone. Now, that huge bar on the left, it shows that for a whopping 63% of kids in these high-stress situations, their bodies stop reacting normally. They develop what's called a blunted response. Basically, their whole stress system gets burned out. It just goes numb. And that numbness isn't peace, it's a huge warning sign for some really serious health problems down the road. So this gets right to the heart of what you're seeing. A brain that's been rewired by constant stress works differently. It becomes hypervigilant, always on the lookout for danger. And at the same time, the parts of the brain responsible for reason, for logic, for seeing nuance, they get weakened. Everything becomes black and white, good versus evil. There's just no room for shades of gray anymore. All right, so now that we have a sense of what's happening on the inside, let's talk about what you can see on the outside. Let's start decoding the child's behavior. And I want you to start thinking of these behaviors not as personal attacks, but more like clues, symptoms that point to the incredible pressure they're under. So as we go through this next part, just ask yourself, honestly, does any of this sound familiar? Does it hit a little too close to home? Let's just look at this list for a minute. That first one, the campaign of denigration, is your child constantly criticizing you for things that seem tiny or even completely made up? How about the lack of ambivalence, where suddenly one parent can do no wrong and you can do no right? And pay really close attention to that one at the bottom, borrowed scenarios. Are you hearing adult phrases, rehearsed-sounding accusations coming out of your child's mouth? These aren't just random quirks. They are very specific signs of this type of psychological harm. Oh, and this one is just brutal for parents. The independent thinker idea. Your child will look you right in the eye and swear that this is all their idea, that nobody influenced them. But what's really going on here? You have to understand this is a defense mechanism. To survive the internal conflict, they have to believe it's their own choice. It's like a psychological shield they're holding up to feel some sense of control. So, if the child is reacting to all of this pressure, the big question is, where is the pressure coming from? Let's take a look at the source, at the driver behind this whole dynamic. And I'm going to say it again because it is so important for you to hear. This dynamic is not about you. It's not your fault. What the research shows pretty clearly is that this is often driven by the other parent's own unresolved trauma from their past. The stress of the divorce acts like a trigger, reactivating old wounds, and they start playing out a script where you are cast as the villain. And you'll see these predictable patterns emerge. Remember that black and white thinking in the child? Well, look, it's often a mirror of the parent's primitive splitting. They can't see gray areas either. This often comes with a real lack of empathy, where their own emotional needs just completely eclipse what's best for the child. And there's this intense, sometimes paranoid fear that you are a danger. These aren't logical reactions, they're symptoms of their own unresolved pain. Okay, now we have to be really, really clear about something. Sometimes a child's rejection of a parent is justified. It's a healthy response to actual abuse or neglect. That's called realistic estrangement. But it looks completely different. In those cases, the child can give you specific, real reasons. They still feel a mix of love and anger. And there's a clear history there. What we're talking about is the polar opposite. It's when the reasons are bizarre or borrowed. The rejection is absolute, and it comes out of the blue after what was a good, loving relationship. Okay, I know that was a lot to take in. It's heavy, it's complicated, but now we're going to make a really important shift. We're going to talk about hope. We're going to talk about the pathways forward, because they do exist. There is hope. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The road back is challenging. And you need to know that traditional family therapy, the thing that seems like the most obvious first step, can sometimes make things a whole lot worse if the therapist isn't specifically trained in this. But the good news is there are effective strategies. There are ways to protect your child. And the solution isn't one single magic bullet. It's a full-on, multi-pronged approach. First, it's forensic. You have to get a proper diagnosis from an expert who really gets this stuff. Second, it's often judicial, using the legal system to protect your child's right to have a relationship with you. Third is clinical, finding specialized programs that know how to tackle these specific thought patterns. And fourth, and this one is so important, it's personal. You have to focus on your own healing and emotional stability. Because out of all those things, your most powerful tool, the thing you have the most control over, it's you. It's your ability to stay grounded, to not get defensive, to be an emotionally stable rock for your child, even when they're saying horrible things. You have to become the lighthouse in their storm, that steady, unwavering light they can eventually find their way back to. So, why? Why go through all this pain and effort? Because the stakes are incredibly high. Look at this number, 70%. Studies show that up to 70% of adult children who went through this end up suffering from major depression later in life. So this fight, it's not just about getting your child back now. It's about saving their future. It's about their lifelong mental health and their ability to have healthy relationships of their own. Look, I know this journey is long, and it takes the kind of strength you never thought you had, but when it feels impossible, I want you to just hold on to this one truth. Your child has a fundamental right to a healthy future, a future where they are free to love both of their parents. And that future, their right to be whole, that's worth every single bit of the fight, isn't it?